Now I know we all share the same thought process when watching a horror movie, where you'll see the victim making such terrible decisions that you feel like you'll be moving different and get the killer dealt with easily had it been you in that situation. There's at least one killer from a horror movie that you feel like you could pack up with little to no effort. Now you see, for me, that killer is none other than Ghostface, and I could care less whether it's a man or woman under the mask. These hands don't discriminate in the face of danger, and hollow tips non-binary. But this is my first time covering anything horror, so if you want more, you already know what to do, gang. Go crazy on that like button and subscribe, you feel me? Now on with the heat. So the scene opens up to Tara Carpenter texting her friend Amber as Tara wants Amber to come over to her crib since her mom is out of town, and lets her know that the liquor cabinet is unlocked, which Amber's like, say no more, cause she trying to turn up. When suddenly the house phone starts to ring, so Tara picks it up, and a guy who's claiming to be a friend of Christina's is on the phone, but Christina isn't available. See, right there, Tara should have hung up, cause why is she still chatting with Buddy? And as they were talking, bro asks Tara what's her favorite scary movie, which she responds to Babadook. Then he starts asking her questions about the Stab series, hitting her with the setup as he describes the situation before a kill scene in the Stab movies, of a girl being home alone that ends up answering the phone to the wrong number and ends up talking with the killer who makes her play a game, which he then asks Tara if she would like to play a game. Tara hung up fast as hell and locked the doors, then texted Amber on the situation. And after checking to see if the creep was outside, the house phone rung again, which Amber tells her to answer it. So Tara got skeptical, cause how she knew the phone was ringing, but nah, whole time that wasn't Amber, it was the killer. And that nigga got heated and started texting in all caps. Now Tara's smart for not answering the phone again and was trying to call 911, but the killer blackmailed her, letting Tara know that Amber will die if she don't answer the phone. So she got back on the phone thinking it was Amber pulling a prank, but bro's like, I told you, I am not Amber. And to prove that, he sends Tara a video of Amber. Then he started a Stab movie trivia with Tara, where if she answered questions wrong or called the cops, Amber dies. So he starts to ask questions about the Stab series, which she managed to get a few right and was cheating hard as hell until he hit her with a trick question asking her who was the killer in Stab 1, which she answered with confidence, saying Billy Loomis, even gave that nigga extra detail. Now she was completely right, but unfortunately for her, there was a trick question, as there was not one but two killers in the first Stab movie, being Billy Loomis and Stu Macher. Not gonna lie, he just hold her, cause the way he asked the question made it seem like he was asking for one specific killer. But yeah, he baited her by showing a knife as he stalks Amber. So Tara grabs a knife and rushes out the door to save Amber, but Ghostface was actually at her front door the whole time and stabbed her in the gut. Now her immediate reaction was punching that nigga in the face. Not gonna hold you, once I seen that, I knew her survival skills were valid. Tara didn't waste any time screaming in pain, she went straight to violence, then shuts the door on him. Now see, one thing I would have done differently in this instance is with my free arm, I would have reached out and grabbed the knife out of his hand, opened the door back up and get the stabbing that nigga, but that's just me. Now with the door closed, she grabs a knife, but remember, Ghostface has Amber's phone, so bro was able to unlock the doors and started trolling by constantly unlocking the doors as she locks it. Then Tara gets jump scared by the house phone ringing. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't have put that phone back in my pocket. I would have kept it in my hand just in case the nigga tried to unlock the doors again. But she's back on the phone with Ghostface, who asks if she thinks he made it inside the crib before she could rearm. Then pulled up right behind her, stabbing her again. So she backhand the shit out of bro, but he tanked that hit with no reaction. Now I'm not gonna hold you, I would have lost a little confidence after that, cause what you mean you brushed off my backhand of doom? That nigga must be superhuman. Ghostface then pulls Tara by her hair and shoved her on the ground, so she kicked him, and bro's like, oh, you wanna kick me? And stomped the fuck out her leg, hitting her with a Mortal Kombat X-ray. I told you that nigga wasn't normal, cause how you stomp someone's leg to the point you pop their bone out of place? Then he stabs through her hand, I just know that hurt. But she kicks him once again, knocking him down to the ground as she crawls away. Meanwhile, the sound of cop sirens draws near, which reminds me, what's up with cops pulling up at the very last second or even at the end of a horror movie when a nigga already been through it all? Like, that pisses me off. You telling me it took y'all an hour to pull up to the spot? But the cop sirens didn't stop Ghostface from stabbing Tara a few times in the back. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, Sam Carpenter is outside her job with her boyfriend Richie, as she ends up getting a text from Wes telling her to call ASAP cause it's about her little sister Tara. And as they're on the phone, Wes lets her know that Tara has been attacked, as she's been stabbed and made it through surgery. Now Sam wants to know who did it, which bro's like, she said it was a nigga in a Ghostface mask. So she gets ready to pull up, but Richie gets in her way. Now she should have punched him, cause how you gonna get in the nigga way during a family emergency? Meanwhile, we see a group of Tara's friends, Amber, Chad, Liv, Wes, and Mindy, who were all chatting as Vince was stalking Liv, as he used to be Liv and Tara's co-worker, so Chad was ready to get active behind his girl, but that nigga Vince took off. Meanwhile, Tara's awake as she just texted Wes. So the gang gets ready to make their way to the hospital, except Liv being an ill friend as she's staying behind. Now peep gang, we all know why she stayed behind.
She belongs to the streets.
She finna go mess with Vince, I just know it. So Sam and Richie makes it to the hospital as Tara's friends are already in the room. And after Tara's friends left the room, as Sam checks up on her, we see Tara's friends at a bar, which Vince was also there looking for trouble. And you know Vince ain't nice with the hand, so he whipped out a pocket knife on Chad. But the bartender broke it up before they could start the violence. So Vince went to take a piss when he noticed his car was on, which he thought it was Chad and his whip. But as he goes to check, no one was inside. Then suddenly Ghostface was right behind him and gave him a quick poke to the neck. That had to be the smoothest kill I've ever seen from Ghostface. But yeah, Sam's at the hospital waking up from a nightmare. Then goes to take her medication and ends up talking with her dead father, Billy, the original Ghostface of the first Scream movie. movie. But that was quickly interrupted when she got a phone call coming from Amber's number and is now on the phone with Ghostface. So shawty stood on business and told that nigga, if you want to scrap, nigga, pull up. I ain't hiding. Bro's like, with pleasure, and popped out the cut. Now watch how she weaves Bro's attack, causing his knife to get stuck, so he backhand her ass. So she starts to defend with a chair and gets behind a table as Bro's swinging at straight air. Then she shoved him with the table and took off, begging for help, and ran into a couple, went to check things out, but no one was there. Now Sam's in the room with Tara, Richie, Judy, and Amber as Judy asks Richie where was he during the attack, which he lets her know that he was watching Netflix. And Amber started being sarcastic, talking about some nice alibi, bro. So Richie asked Amber where was she, which Judy lets him know that she was questioning Amber and the rest of the friend group at the sheriff's station. Once the chatting was over, Sam gets some alone time with Tara to tell her the truth on why their dad left. So Sam tells Tara that when she was 13, she had read their mom's diary and found out within the diary that before she was born, her mom cheated on her boyfriend and got pregnant by another guy who was the true father of Sam. But the mom ended up capping and told her boyfriend that the baby is his. And with him thinking the baby's his, he done proposed and everything.
That's tough, my guy.
So Sam was heated after reading the diary, finding out that her so-called dad was never truly her dad. So Sam went to confront her mom about the situation, not realizing that the man her mom cheated on was right behind them listening. And rightfully so, he left them niggas cause he ain't got time to be playing stepdad. And that's the reason Sam been so distant from Tara for the past 5 years. But Sam wasn't done yet cause she done hit Tara with the biggest bombshell, letting her know that her actual father is Billy Loomis, and that she believes that to be the reason why she got attacked. Tara was not trying to hear anymore and told Sam to slide. Sam then makes her way to Dewey's crib along with Richie, as she needs help from an OG. So as they're in his crib, Dewey starts to break down the situation, with 1 being never trust a love interest, 2 being the killer's motive is always connected to something in the past, and 3 being the killer's first victim has a friend group the killer is a part of. And since Tara has a friend group, Dewey lets Sam know to start there. Now Sam wants Dewey to join them in solving the mystery behind the killer's identity, but Dewey's like, bullshit, I've been through this enough, and kicked them niggas out his crib. Dewey then gets in contact with Sydney, letting her know that the killer and the Ghostmaster is back and that she shouldn't come back no matter what. But Sydney's like, she have no intention of ever setting foot in that town again. Now panning on the other side of things, Sam and Richie pulls up to Mindy and Chad's mom's crib, with Dewey deciding to tag along with them to help out in the investigation. So Sam lets everyone know that her father is Billy Loomis and how all of them are suspects. Now Mindy is a D1 horror fiend, as she seems to have an idea on Ghostface's motives and the order in which Ghostface is choosing to pick off his victims. After that was said and done, we see Wes's mom Judy leaving to pick up some sushi, and as she's on the road, she gets a call from Ghostface, which he lets her know that by the time they see each other, he'd have already killed her son. So she busts a Yui and rushes back home and tries to get in contact with her son, but he's in the shower. So she finally makes it to the crib, and I'm not gonna lie, this nigga Ghostface IQ is really high, cause he done baited Judy into rushing to the door just for him to pop out from the corner and stab her in the gut, and continues to stab her while she's on the ground. Meanwhile, Wes is out the shower now setting up for dinner when he suddenly heard a noise and noticed that the door was open. But of course, niggas in horror movies always lacking brain cells. Instead of opening the door to make sure no one was lurking around, to which he would then see that his mom is dead on the ground. That was the bar, ain't gonna lie, but bro decided to just shut the door. And the moment he turned around, Ghostface done pierced the knife right through his neck, getting yet another quick and easy kill. Not gonna hold you, Ghostface low-key an elite assassin. First 3 kills were quick and smooth. But yeah, Sam pulled up to the scene looking to speak to Wiz, but unfortunately he's been packed up along with his mother. Then Gail pulls up, and after introducing one another, Gail runs over to Dewey, pissed as hell that he told her about the killer through a text rather than calling. Meanwhile, Sam is on the phone with Richie and noticed the cop who was keeping watch over her sister at the hospital, and wanted to know if he's here, then who's watching over her sister. So she gets ready to head to the hospital with Dewey tagging along with her. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, Tara hears a noise and gets up off her bed and is now moving around in a wheelchair. Then the light shuts off and she ends up getting a call which was coming from her sister, but she was not turning back. So as she's strolling through the hall, she sees a cop bleeding out after getting his neck sliced, and she tries to secure the gun, but it was no longer on his hip. So she moves to a nearby phone to call for help until she heard someone inside the hospital. And as soon as that person walked in the room, she smacked that nigga with the phone. But it was Richie, so she asks him what is he doing here, which he tells her that Sam told him that she was in trouble. But there was enough chatting as Ghostface was right behind him and cuts him in the arm. Then banged his head against the door and was ready to go for Tara, but Tara knocked Ghostface down with whatever that thing is called. Then Tara tried to dip, but unfortunately she is not making it far. And Sam calls Richie with Ghostface picking up the phone asking Sam who he should kill between Tara and Richie and that he'll spare the other. But we know that nigga just capping, let's be for real. Now little did Ghostface know that she was holding him on the phone to stall for a time until they got there. And once they arrived, Dewey got the dumping on Ghostface. And as Dewey went to save Richie, Ghostface got right back up on the attack. Got Dewey on the ground as he's in a struggle until he hits Ghostface with the headbutt, then picked the gun back up, shooting Ghostface 3 times. Now you would think Dewey had more sense since he'd been through this 5 different times, including now. But nah, instead of shooting Ghostface in the head while he's vulnerable to make sure the nigga don't get back up, he chose to save Richie instead. Like, you can't make this up. Then the nigga brain started working once they made it all the way to the elevator, which he decided to stay behind to go finish the job by shooting Ghostface in the head. Now he could have easily told them to hold the elevator open until he finished the job, but nah, niggas brains really be fried. And if that wasn't dumb enough, the moment Dewey got close to Ghostface, his phone rang and that nigga really tried to answer it before finishing the job. The director of this movie had to be an elite rage baiter, cause the nigga purposely trying to get the viewers heated with these dumb decisions. And it's actually working. But yeah, Dewey ended up getting stabbed in the gut and the back. Then Ghostface done pushed both knives upwards, rearranging his guts. And it was all over for Dewey. Bro done got packed up after staying strong for 5 whole movies. And just look at Ghostface standing there holding a pose for the flick. Like, we get it, you just ended the nigga's whole career, but was the aura form really necessary? After all that was said and done, Gail spots Dewey in a body bag. So Sam went to check up on Gail, then went to Tara's side after being told that she was awake. Meanwhile, Sydney pulled up immediately after hearing about what happened to Dewey and comforted Gail. Later that night, Sam was confronted by Sydney and Gail, as Sam plans on leaving the town with Tara and Richie. But Sydney's like, that ain't the move, as the killer will always come after her. So Sydney wants Sam to help her and Gail kill Ghostface instead. But Sam's not with it, then Richie pulls up and they take off. But Sydney had formed a contingency plan as she had placed a tracker on the car. And as they're on the road, Tara's in a panic because she had left her inhaler at the hospital, but has an extra at Amber's house. Now Richie didn't want to make a stop at Amber's house at first until he locked in. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, Amber is having a party at her crib, and as Chaz making out with his girl, she wants to take it upstairs, but she had bro messed up. He was not risking going away from the crowd of people to remain alone in a room with her. So Liv storms off and he gets ready to look for her, but his sister Minnie told him not to leave without a weapon, so he grabbed a candle holder and went to look for Liv. Chaz now outside texted Liv's phone as he then gets a message telling him to look for her, along with a link to a tracker for her location. So Chaz now using the tracker to locate Liv, but to no avail. And he was about to turn back, but Ghostface pops out the cut and stabs him in the thigh, as it was actually Ghostface who had Liv's phone and gave Chad the location in order to lure him out for the ISO. So Chad claps back by smacking Ghostface with the candle holder and tackles bro to the ground. He then runs to cover and tried to turn off the tracker on his phone, but his hand's too bloody, so he tossed it. Then makes a run for it, but it's stuck limping from the injury. Now that nigga Ghostface was hot and waited for the perfect opportunity to do the most and bust through the door. Like, bro, you couldn't just wait behind the corner or something? But yeah, Ghostface catches Chad and got the violating his ribcage. Then took off as Sam, Tara, and Richie pulled up on the scene. They make their way inside the crib with Tara telling Amber that she needs her inhaler, which Amber lets her know is in her room. So Amber ends the party, but niggas not trying to go. So Richie tried to get rid of them by stating that the killer is targeting Sam and Tara, and since they're in the house, that makes everyone a target. But niggas was not trying to hear it. But he continued to stand on business, finally clearing the house. And Richie heads down to the basement to grab some beer. Meanwhile, Liv shows up out of nowhere. So Mindy asks Liv where's her brother because he went looking for her. But Liv claims she hasn't seen him, so that made Mindy skeptical of Liv. So that pissed Liv off and she stormed off once again, even took her chips. Now I'm not gonna hold you, Liv would have had to line it up, cause what you mean you finessed me out my delicacy? But yeah, as Gail and Sydney is still on the road, Sydney noticed that Sam was at Stumacher's house. So she calls Sam telling her to get out of there as she's in Stumacher's house, the place where her dad and Stu killed everyone, and that someone is planning to get them killed, so she needs to leave ASAP. Meanwhile, Mindy is enjoying the stab movie where she sees Ghostface sneaking up behind the dude, which she puts 2 and 2 together, realizing that she may be in the same situation as him. So she turns around and sees that Ghostface was getting ready to boom her. That's when Sam pulls up, grabs a lap, and smacks Ghostface at the back of the head, but that did 0 damage. Then he ends up running off, and that's when Tara and Amber pulled up, followed by Richie and Liv. And with seeing that Mindy has been attacked, Amber is accusing one of them for being the killer as she was with Tara. Then Sam pointed out that Liv has blood on her hands, making her look real suspicious. But Liv is sick of the allegations, so she's trying to clear her name, letting them know that she is not the killer. But Amber's like, save your breath, I already know, and Amber killed Liv. As a viewer, I was in shock cause Shawty bowed his head for killing her in front of everyone else. Then tries to go for Sam, but Tara puts a stop to her. Meanwhile, Sam and Richie takes off with Sam grabbing a knife. And as Sam and Richie's in the basement, Sam tries to go back for Tara, but Richie intercepts once again, talking about there's always 2 killers. Now see, my thing is the nigga already got in her way when trying to get to her sister. Then the nigga did it again. I wouldn't blame her if she chose to stab bro. So she points the knife at bro, cause what is he doing? So he starts accusing Tara of being the killer, saying that she's practically a stranger since the 2 of them been so distant for the past 5 years. And asks Sam how well does she even know Tara? Had Sam all the way fucked up. Sam gonna slide for her sister Tara no matter what, and lets Richie know that she knows Tara more than she knows him. Now Sydney and Gail finally makes it to the crib strapped up. And they hear a scream with Gail talking about some sounds about right as they continue to take their sweet time. Like, nigga, what you mean sounds about right? You hear the scream, you're supposed to run right in there, not aura form. But Amber comes out thinking she's an elite actor, but they wasn't buying it. They know bait when they see it. Since the jig was up, Amber bust at Gail with Sydney dumping back but missed every shot. Now the crazy part is Amber didn't even run back inside. She just casually walked back inside. Like, how you gonna gun her down and just casually walk off like the other shawty ain't got a gun in her hand? She straight walked through each bullet like she had observation hockey. Like, Like, what kind of sorcery is this? There's no reason for your aim to be that terrible to where you fail to hit a walking target. You might as well drop the weapon and stick to hand-to-hand combat, cause that's embarrassing. Then she starts staring at the house like she was waiting for a magic carpet to pop out and take her inside. Like, shorty, if you don't start walking. So she's inside and randomly shoots a door. Now imagine she's pulling up to save you and you so happen to be hiding behind a door waiting to be saved, just to be shot by her.
That's tough. My guy.
Sydney really moving reckless. Meanwhile, Sam finds Tara in a closet but hesitates to free her. Now panning back to Sydney, she was now on the phone with Ghostface, who she thought was Amber, but bro's like, nah, this isn't Amber, I'm the other one. And as she's on the phone, she steady shooting doors hoping to hit Ghostface. And when she was done chatting with bro, she shoots the door in front of her, which she ended up shooting Richie as he was hiding behind it. So she's like, why didn't you come out? But bro's like, hell no, you were shooting everything. Then Ghostface popped out the door next to Sydney, but she quickly reacted, knocking the both of them down from the second floor. Then Sydney tells Richie to grab the gun, but he's struggling since she shot him in the leg. So Sam pulled up grabbing it instead and was ready to kill Ghostface. But Richie pulled up on Sam and stabbed her in the side. Now I'm not gonna hold you. Even with me understanding the rules behind the killers of this series, the killer's reveals really caught me by surprise. And whole time Richie actually had Tara's inhaler in order to lure them to Amber's crib. So they dragged Sydney and Sam into the kitchen, then Amber went to get Gail. Now I knew I wasn't tripping. Amber done called Richie Hunt, and Richie done called her baby before she took off to get Gail. This nigga really left Sam fine ass for an 18-year-old girl. That's crazy. Sydney tried to clap back, but Richie puts a stop to her and held them hostage and started running his mouth. Then Amber comes back with Gail, now holding her hostage as well. Now Richie and Amber plans on framing Sam and Sydney as the killers. And as Amber was chatting with Sydney, Sydney tries to grab a nearby knife but got stabbed for trying it. Then Richie tells Amber to get Tara out the closet, as it is now time to start staging the bodies. But she was no longer in the closet as Sam had set her free. So as Amber went searching for her, Tara snuck Amber and started beating her with her crutch. Meanwhile, Sam took this opportunity to take the gun from Richie, but to no avail, so she bit that nigga. Now how she managed to bite him through those bandages? Then she ran off without even picking up the gun he dropped. I guess she's in the rush to save her sister, but damn, at least take the weapon. And as Tara was whacking away at Amber, Amber kicks Tara in the leg, goes for the stomach, had Tara stumbling, pulls up slamming Tara on both sides of the wall, then tosses her over the couch. Then Amber heads to the kitchen, but nothing could prepare her for this jumping she's about to receive. The moment she stepped into the kitchen, Sydney shoved her to the ground. So Amber grabs a knife and attempts to stab Sydney in the back, but Gail said no you don't, and Sydney picked up a bottle and slammed it on Amber's face. Then they picked up Amber, tossing her over the counter. Now Amber's begging for mercy, but she wildin' thinking any of them about to let her slide. So Amber started talking head on Dewey, which Gail punched her clean in the face. So Amber started to finger Gail's wound. So Sydney pulled up with the assist but got her back blown out. Then Amber got on top of Gail, choking her while continuing to talk head on Dewey. So Gail headbutted her and kicked her so hard that she flew back to the stove and accidentally turned it on, which Sydney then gives Gail the gun she picked up so that she can get her get back for Dewey. And with that, Gail shot Amber 3 times, making her do the 9-8 before hitting a full 180 into the flames on the stove and is now lit on fire. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, as Richie's in search for Sam, Sam pops out on him, shoving him into the railing, causing him to drop the knife and gets on his back, but he gets her off of him. Now she makes her run down the stairs, but he catches her, causing them to both roll down the stairs. And as Sam's crawling, she ends up seeing her dad within the mirror as he points out the knife that's underneath the curtain. And Richie catches her as he talks about the rules of the Stab franchise. So Sam's like, I'm introducing a new rule, which she lets him know to never mess with the daughter of a serial killer. And bro face straighten up real quick, then stabs him through the side of his mouth and gets on top of him to continue stabbing at him. Now I done counted every single stab she gave bro, and it was approximately 21 stabs. Then he had the nerve to tell her wait, which she chose to hear him out. That nigga talking about some what about my ending? So you know she had to respond with some heat. So she's like, here's your ending, and slice that nigga in the neck. And with that, she got the aura forming. Then Gail and Sydney pulled up to get posted with Sam for a flick, but Sydney's like, hold on now, they always come back. But Sam was already on it and shot bro 3 times. Now I'm not gonna hold you, I noticed the pattern. They always shooting a nigga 3 times. But yeah. Then they hear a scream and it's coming from Amber, charging at them with a knife looking like a zombie. The fact that she got up moving after being set on fire is crazy. But Amber got shot in the dome by Tara, which Tara was like, I still prefer the Babadook. And it was a job well done. Now the cops and ambulance arrived on the scene as Mindy and Chad are both still alive and is getting taken to a hospital along with Tara, who requests for them to be taken to a different hospital. Meanwhile, Sam went to thank Sydney fine ass and Gail fine ass, and after talking with the 2 of them, she takes her leave, and as she's walking, she see her father within a car window. Then gets in the ambulance with Tara as they're both sticking by each other's side. Alright gang, this video is one of them ones where I'll need to stall for time. So I'm gonna have to hold you for 25 more seconds before wrapping up this video, cause that 20-minute mark was calling my name. So if you're still watching up to this point, I appreciate you gang, you a real one. You feel me?
My guy.
Also, if this video does well, expect to see more horror videos like this very soon. You feel me?
My guy.
And I'm trying to be more consistent with the upload, so I'm gonna be in the lab cooking up more heat. You feel me?
My guy.
Now that'll do. Thank you for your time. And yeah, that was Scream 5 and all its greatness. You already know this movie is absolutely pure heat. A solid 10 out of 10 for me, cause the Scream series never miss. Now, with that being said, if you made it this far, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe and it be. We moving. Also, on tech recommendations, bro, so hit the comments. And more heat on the way.